stand props. That's awesome. What's your name? What was your name? Tuan. Awesome. High five, Tuan. Now, here's the deal, Tuan. I'm going to need you to stand still for a while. Okay? That means like you're going to have to get all the wiggles out real quick. Okay? Perfect. Now you got to like freeze. Nice. But you got to hold this for me. Okay? Just like that. Man, those are some good faces. Some crazy faces. Those are not self-portraits, but those are hilarious. Okay, Tuan, I'm going to have you turn it just a little bit more, just like that. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous to me. It is ridiculous to me that a group of people who have seen God work, have experienced His move in their life, a lot like a lot of us experienced last night when we were at the altar and we were like, God, thank you for leaving those words behind. Thank you for saying this isn't me anymore and I'm going to follow you. And you call me a child. You call me worthy. And we experienced God last night. And for people who have experienced God like that, who brought them out of slavery, for them to get to a point in their life where they're like, I haven't seen you for a while. So instead of talking to God, let's build this. And let's worship this now. It makes no sense. You and I probably are like, this seems silly. Why would they turn to carving out faces on a stick and then call it like a worship or an idol? But did you know back then, when they said they worshiped that idol, they would like bring a sacrifice to it. They would literally have, like farmers would have animals and they'd be like, this is one of my best animals. I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to sacrifice it to this pole. Could you imagine? Like people would like work to bring things here, to give it to the stick. They'd burn it in front of the stick. They'd be like, this is yours now. Please help me, oh great stick. Really? I mean, you and I see this. How many of you guys look at this and be like, it's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. But the Israelites honestly turned from God and said, I'm going to follow this stick. Tuan, you are doing an awesome job. Stay still. Okay, now, I need one of I need someone who can build really good. Right there in the yellow shirt, just the third row yellow shirt. Come here, real quick. Yep, come on up here. Real fast, real fast. Okay, so little skip, nice. Here we go. What's your name? Brody. I'm telling you, my hearing is terrible. Brody, here's the deal. I've got some rocks. They're already in a little bit of a pile, but I'm going to challenge you to try and make them as tall of a pile as you can. You've got about like a minute or so while I'm talking to try to build a stack of rocks there, okay? Try stack it up nice and big. Awesome. Hey, Pastor Matt or Pastor Ron, if you're in the back, I'm going to need more airheads. I always run out. Now, as Brody is building a stack of rocks, this is literally what was happening. God's people had been run out of their land. We talked last night how they were hiding in the hills. Gideon was even hiding in a makeshift wine press to like make bread. As he's making bread, he's doing it there so he could hide because he's afraid of the enemy seeing him. As they're in the hills, instead of saying, oh God, we need your help, the Israelites turn to the stick. And in front of the stick, like Brody's building, they put an altar there. There's significance in the altar they were building. See, when God brought them out of Egypt, as they left Egypt, one of the things they did was build an altar. They were slaves, and God brought them free. A lot like we talked last night, some of you were like, hey, I am free. That describes me. This is a word that God says, I'm free. I'm no longer a slave. And as God brought them out, He said, build an altar. Stack up stones, and every time you see those stones, go, wow, I remember when God did this. And they built an altar, but instead of building it to God, Brody, that's awesome. You don't even have to stack any more on top of that. Look at that. That's a 5 stack on rocks that aren't supposed to be stacked. That's great. Those are not shaped well for stacking. You did phenomenal. Now you can kind of bunch them together, bring the other ones close, bring them all close together. Like, Brody got 5 stacked. That's pretty good. Can you guys give him a golf clap? Here you go. Keep going. Sit back down. Tuan, you gotta stay standing for this thing here. Right. Good job. Now the Israelites this pole and sacrificing on this altar they built two poles to a god called Baal, a false god. And the first thing that happens in Gideon's story is the angel says, hey Gideon, do you remember what the prophet said? The prophet that came and talked to you, the prophet is someone who talks for God in the Old Testament. He said, turn away from the false god. The prophet already told you what to do. See, the cool thing about God is when he calls you, says, hey, come walk with me. I want to be with you. I want to walk with you. He doesn't say, like, I want to walk with you, and peace, have it, figure it all out by yourself. No, God gives us wonderful steps and says, hey, this is the next step. This is where we're going. And God walks with you. And what he said to Gideon was, hey, guess what? The next step is you're going to have to take down the thing that you put in front of me. That can be hard. Sometimes walking out of slavery, out of something that was describing us and walking into freedom, it's like, yes! And then our first step into freedom with God is, yes, yes, yes. And God says, hey, guess what? As we're walking together, there's something that you've put in front of me, and that's going to have to go. I'm taking you out of that because I'm bringing you someplace. But as we go this place, something that you may be putting in front of me has to go. And Gideon was scared. When the angel said that has to be gone, you have to tear that down. If you want to see God continue to walk with you, your next step, man, that is taking it out. And in Judges 20-6, verse 27. So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord told him. He took people with him. But because he was afraid of his family and the townspeople, he did it at night rather than in the daytime. I love this. He was afraid, but God didn't leave him. God didn't, in his scared or in his fear, God didn't say, well, you're too afraid, we're done. God said, hey, I asked you to take that step. It's okay to be afraid. And Gideon looked to some of his friends, to his people, and said, would you do this with me? He looked to his friends around him and said, hey, I think God is asking us to take that down. We need to turn away from what we've put in front of God, and we're going to have to take it down. All the way. And his friends are like, everyone's going to be upset with us. You know that, right? Like, all those people, they love this stick. Weird, I know. But all those people, they love it so much that if we do this, if we chop it down and we destroy that thing and we burn that thing on the new one that we build, this is distracting me. Boom. As we build that on there, guess what? They're not going to be happy. And Gideon's like, I know. Let's do it at night. So they sneak out at night. And this, I love this step. Gideon sneaks out at night. There is a sheath on this. It's not actually sharp. Do you see how the sheath is up here? There we go. Tuan, are you scared yet? Yeah. Good job. That's right. Now, what if I were to take the sheath off? Oh, his eyes got a little bigger. Scared? Oh, look. Okay, here, I'll put this back on. I get you. I was scared too, actually. So, Gideon snuck out at night. And you know the first thing he did? He went up to the idol, the thing that they were putting before God, the thing that they had replaced God with. And he said, okay, friends, it's time to take this thing down. Now I have to apologize to all of you wonderful artists. You've made something that I can't say. It just is what it is. We kind of did a bait and switch, but Tuan, you know what? You have been absolutely amazing. And for the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hold this while I ask you to do something. Because Gideon wasn't alone. I'm going to set this over here, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hold this thing, okay? Let's switch spots. You come over here. You ready? Oh, look at that. That's perfect. You might be a kids pastor someday. Here's what's going to happen. You ready? Tuan, Gideon and his friends, they not only cut this down and destroyed the thing that they put before God, their idol, they also took the whole thing of stones. Brody, it's okay, you did a phenomenal thing, but it's time for Tuan to destroy it. And you know what they did? They took that altar that was built to the false god and they just destroyed it. Go ahead and knock all those stones down. Just destroy it, his friends. Yeah, just throw them all over, make sure it's all gone. I love it. You're attacking the stick right. Okay, hold up. There are good instruments up here that we don't want to hit, so we want to just kind of toss them over there a little bit and over here a little bit. Listen, in a minute you're gonna have to get them back up. Sorry, in a minute you're gonna have to get them back up. Perfect. And Gideon's friends sat there with him as they destroyed the altar. They went after the thing that they had put before God, and they said, this is no more. We're going to take what was before God, and we're going to put God back in his place. We're going to follow God first. God, our true God, should be the only God that we serve. So as they destroyed that thing, guess what? They took all of those rocks, and they said, we're going to build a real altar. We're going to build an altar to God, the true God, not a fake God, not a stick, not anything else. Now I'm going to make it pick all the rocks up and put them in another pile. But that's okay, because this is a new one. You ready? Go ahead and let's build a new pile right over there. And I'm just going to beat you for a second. You did really, really good. You've got a good pile. And see, very good. Now, you did awesome. And that's exactly what Gideon's friends did, Juan. They went and destroyed the altar that was putting something before God, and they rebuilt it for God. Okay, Tuan, I'm going to destroy this, but I don't want to hurt you. I'm going to let you go ahead and sit back there. And you want to grab those airheads right over there and bring them with you? Go for it. Careful of the axe. It still has a sheath on it. Good job. Now you can go ahead and go. You ready? 5. Awesome. Went over to that altar and completely, or that sheriff hole, and completely and totally started destroying it. Why do I have to use the axe? I can just grab it like that. But you know what? The faces are going to have to go too, because Gideon completely and totally, I'm sorry guys, ripped all of this up, and he set it all on the altar, and then he burned it, which we're not going to burn it right now. But what happened is Gideon's family wakes up. The townspeople wake up. And Gideon had a moment there. And I bet there was a little bit of uh-oh. Because he followed God as God said, hey, I'm going to be with you. We're leaving your old self behind. What you believed to be true, that was not true, that was a lie. Remember, I've rescued you from that. Remember, I've got big things for you. I am with you, God said. And then this is what I love. You ready? In verse 32, it says this. So because Gideon broke down Baal's altar, they gave him the name. Let Baal contend with him. If you go back up, Gideon took 10 men of his friends, 10 of his servants, and he did as the Lord told him. Guys, when we put something before God,